ninja. I'll be back in a moment. It looks like it's just you and I right now. I'll be right back. Had to grab my water. So that's what's funny. You mentioned Cubaris Soil. I think I even mentioned it in the video where it created a lot of confusion for me originally because I thought someone was saying like soil for Cubaris. So um, and just the way they were talking about it again confused me from the outside looking in, and in hindsight and all of that, it was kind of funny. I think we'll maybe start with them. Now, I have this bin kind of set up. Um, and real quick, can you hear me? Everything's good in terms of the audio and visual before I get started. No worries, Rhode Island. I totally understand getting out. If I had the opportunity to get out over hanging out with me, I would do, at least online, I would do the same thing also. Good luck and have fun. The weather here looks amazing. It's sunny. It's looks beautiful, but then it's like barely, it's just under 40 degrees and kind of windy. And it's going to be warmer tomorrow, so I'm going to kind of do that here. Tomorrow, go out myself and do a live stream. And before I get started too, for a little bit of context, so you know my kiddos are, it's my week with my kiddos, but it's spring break and my ex took them up north, so I have a few days to myself in the middle of my what would normally be my time with the girls, which again it sucks for me personally, but that's their mom, and it's spring break and it's fun for them, it's family. And like I kind of always mention, she's very good about if I just call and ask if one of them can come do something, spend the night or hang out or go to dinner, there's no issues there. So um, again, I try to make good of the bad, so to speak. So that's why we're doing this today. But in that, I did do really quick. I didn't do all of the ventilation for this. You do it with a soldering iron, and it's plastic and had to breathe in. So I did a little bit, but once it just started getting too fumy in here, I stopped, and I'll do that. I may, yeah, I can always readjust and do it right by the door, as a matter of fact, later. But I'm going to kind of skip that part. And this is a 7-quart. This was a little bit, I believe, taller than some of the other ones that I had options to go with. The reason I chose these is it's totally clear. I always prefer that because if I want to keep light away from them, um, I can, not turn lights on, avoid lights and do that, but it's difficult to be able to open them up to light if you get a container that's just opaque. But Yeah, I normally do drill them, the smaller holes. I was just impatient and kind of not thinking, to be honest, because normally what I would do is, do I have one over here? This is a lid for another container, and I hope it comes through. You can see most of these are drilled, and even these are drilled. What I would normally do is just solder the larger pieces like this. Again, I don't know why, I just wasn't thinking and started doing that I normally don't do. So, but with that, most of those small holes, um, I saw other people doing that plywood thing. It's kind of funny, and I didn't know why. But was I going to say? I am going to be putting more holes here. The way I generally orientate, let me get some of that. Oh, my bins when I start them is, at least while I'm getting familiar with the bin, and I can usually look at most of mine visually, either the sometimes the outside, but mainly the inside, and see what it is. But I usually use the side with the label for the dark. I'm sorry, for the moist side, and just associating the darkness with moisture and all that. So, just as kind of a reminder to myself. We are going to be putting these guys away, which again are the soil, which again, you guys, well, Rhode Island, you'll probably have, you'll be, if you're still there, I don't know, but you may know more about what I'm talking about, whereas Ninja's just an isopod noob at the moment. But in fact, both of these species, in fact, I keep saying Cubaris soil, and these Shiro Utsuri are. So, well, and in fact, I'll kind of explain what I'm talking about, Ninja. Um, a lot of the whole hobby of isopods is relatively new, and there's so many different. There's such a variety all over the world. You and I laugh about the word diversity, but there is that in them. So a lot of these species are, I mean, I can't say about either of these two specifically, but they're finding new ones every day, and so much so that they're getting to points where there's conflicting things between species or genuses and such, where they say, okay, let's say we found that these guys have all of these what we thought were Cubaris have a cleft in this place, but none of these do. So they have these, and so we're basically now going to resplit them into a completely separate thing aside from Cubaris, or they'll do ones within. It's always changing. So these things I think are Cubaris, but I've seen both of them described as Nesodillo, Nesodillo. So again, I don't care in one regard because I'm going to keep them. I like them and all of that, but just in terms of the actual science and that, the depth of what's going on, it's actually kind of interesting and convoluted, like I'm going through it. And so much so, I laughed that I haven't even got any isopod stuff going, but um, so there's genuses like armadillo, armadillidium, Cubaris, Porcellio, Trachelopus, and all of these. And I, t- at the speed of science, I tend to gravitate towards armadillidiums. So in my coming into the hobby, I picked my starting point at armadillidiums and focused on learning about how to keep them, because I'm like, if I'm going to be keeping mainly armadillidiums or species that tend to have the same care as armadillidiums, there's not a big reason for me to go learning about Porcelios and Trichelopus and all these other ones when I'm literally just going to be focusing on that. So again, like I can't say I know a lot by any means, but just what I do know is kind of limited or focused in that regard. I'll take myself another drink of water and see what's up. And it is, I just find it interesting that, in fact, I don't know, let's see if I can do this a little. Not too much, but there are species, in fact, Armadillidium as an example, have a tendency to like drier climates. And I use that term, with little air quotes because it's dry within the spectrum that is allowable within isopods because they are crustaceans and demand water. But you have some that live in deserts, arid places, things like that. I live in Michigan, and while they're not out gathering things, they live here when it's snowing and freezing. It's fascinating, but I try to select isopods at least right now that are easier for me to keep within how I live. Um, I don't have like a room where I can have keep it 80 degrees all the time. If my house is 80 degrees, I would not be able to afford that, and my kids would sweat at night. But so but in some isopods, not I don't want to say need, but there may be even some that need that specific high temperature or there's humidity, things like that. So it is fascinating how cool these guys are. So let's start with the soils. And if you have any other specific questions, let me know. And there are other different characteristics, I guess you could say. These guys, for example, you may notice that you may not notice anything, especially again going to the Shiros, which not necessarily because of their color, but you can see they're just out more. I can see a couple of the soils there to the kind of inside of the little box to the right, but some just have a propensity to dig more or be more somewhat, you could say, arboreal. They like trees. Some prefer leaf litter. Some prefer, again, it's just, although there's a lot of that variety, but these guys have a tendency to dig a lot. So even if you have a lot, you don't see them, generally speaking. There can be conditions where they come out more, or you may have, conditions set up where they're active more on the surface because you can kind of do things to promote that. But isopods are, again, super diverse like that. Let's get this going. I have to get a little more charcoal. A little more calcium sand. So this is just going to be a base layer, I guess. Oh yeah, I can start using that too. I do want to grab a towel after setting this in. Boom. Be right back. Get some moss going. You don't really have to put this layer down. The reason I tend to is because I will set stuff up in order to I'll usually put things that will go vertically up and down, so like a piece of wood maybe in this direction, and I may still do that. But the reason I said it may not be necessary is I want to take a moment and actually think about this on the fly, because generally speaking, I set mine up more for I'll talk about that in 1 second. Let me finish this thought. So I generally set it up for viewing, which means I have a lot more layering but I set it up more, like I say, with the nutrition towards heavy towards the top as opposed to in the bottom. If you're setting up enclosures for more of breeding, you want to be less concerned with that, so to speak. And I mean less concerned with the fact that you don't care if you see them, because you have a couple pieces of wood up top that allows them to congregate there, so you can monitor them that way. Whereas the ones I usually set up promotes them being more active throughout at different layers, at different microenvironments. I stack in layers and put different nutritional value things, whether it's leaves that you'll see me putting in here, sticks, mosses, powders, for calcium, cuttle bones, all of those things I put in there. And in regards to the spraying, I just want to make sure. I have a bad habit of putting the soil in and not making it as moist. It promotes from the bottom up having moisture, but it also, as you said, when I start doing hardscapes, allows me to kind of wiggle a piece of wood in there and leave it nestled up against a rock and have but even that, you don't want it packed on the bottom, not because you want it to be, as I kind of always say, airy and loamy, not packed and dense. What you'll start to see is, as this is the moist side, just very gradually, I'm going to start applying less moisture here and having this area. In fact, I got to think about this actually, because again, Cubaris are, which again, I don't even know if they're Cubaris, but the soils are, and with a little bit of context, I did talk to The lady I got this from, it's the Friendly Neighborhood Bug Dealer, or your specifically, it's your Friendly Neighborhood Bug Dealer. But I want to say hers because that's quite a mouthful. So maybe I'll say the bug dealer. But so when I was talking to the bug dealer after I won the contest, I was in essence saying what I wanted the isopods to be a surprise, but I gave more of my care parameters and what I can and cannot support in terms of temperature, humidity, things like that. So even though these are Cubaris or Nesodillos, basically they're more, while some of those tend to be more humidity and moisture oh my goodness, what's the word? It starts with a P. Preferring species, these are kind of more on the dry side along the Armadillidiums, more in line with what I tend to want to keep, if that makes sense. Well, that's one of the things we talk about. The whole she's an older lady, not old, but old. You know, not she's not like in high school. So it's a very cynical kind of, you know, name that she chose for with some obvious kind of implications. Just one of the things I want to do is if I ever start doing things, I'm going to call myself a podhead, and that's going to probably be my like selling brand, so to speak. Um, so with that, one thing you can do to increase, even though this is going to be a bin more set for breeding, and in fact, I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to stop and I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm going to set this up more for breeding, which is my point. So I'm not going to be doing as much of the layering. The reason I'm opting to go with a more breeding setup for these is right now, Cubaris have a little bit more value in the isopod market, and if I do start breeding them, I can sell them and make a little more money. And this is kind of an experiment with me because I don't set up these normally for the purpose of breeding. My sole intention is to be able to look at them and then, do all the other stuff aside from that. So this is kind of an experiment for me. But what I was getting at is, even though this is going to be more of that build, one thing you can do, I'll maybe pull the camera back in a moment, is set up leaves and sticks in a way like this, and then again, because you don't smush the substrate down, you can do things like put substrate over it and on top of it, maybe put a rock and or stick across for kind of, I just moved it, but across for support to stop it from getting crushed down. And then what I'm going to show you would be, again, this is not going to be the best example right now. I apologize because I'm going to shake this camera up for a moment. There's my feet. I have pants on. But you can kind of set up it's again, I apologize, but you can almost see how you can see through there. And it would create little micro environments like that. And you can actually view inside of them if it weren't so misty from me having just cleaned it. And then you can kind of watch them do their thing. That is what I talk about when I say I'm layering this and setting it up in layers, just for a little bit of clarity between you and I, because I think it's just you and I right now. We'll see if I'll quote it. I may never get to selling. Who knows? Um, so, in fact, I'm just going to actually kind of leave that for now. I'm going to borrow this for a second. Alrighty. Claimed. I want to see if this. Ooh, yeah. So that's going to be just trying this out. Ooh, should I actually invert it though? No. In fact, one of the things I'm going to do is take a still or maybe a video of this, because once I set this up, get these guys going, and they start doing their thing, this is not going to be green. It's going to look more like, let me see if I can find one. Once they eat all the lichen and moss off, it looks more like this. So we'll see how that goes. So I'm going to put this aside. And as I mentioned, if there's anyone here, what I would normally do, this is obviously not what I would pick because it's just as tall, but let's say it was around the size of, towards this line down. You could put it in like this in the middle, and again, or even at an angle like this, and it allows them going up and, again, both horizontal movement and vertical movement, going from different layers of whether it's moisture, nutrients, what humidity, dryness, whatever, up to different levels going up or down or sideways. So let me read. So this again is going to be resting on top, but I do want to get another piece to put down here. So bear with me for a moment and let me respond. I'm not sure about the grips. I've never looked at, because there was one thing. What was it? I thought I was reading about, maybe it was a spider that have hooks at the end. But anyway, I don't know, to be honest. They don't have anything, how would I say this? Super specialized in that regard, because for the most part, if you have this clean, meaning like you can see right now there's moisture and dirt kind of in this area here. I hope it shows out in there. But you can kind of see, and I'll put my hand there so you can kind of see how it's got the moisture. So they could climb that, but they can't climb the areas here where there's no texture. So now in nature, wood, leaves, branches naturally have, they don't have the almost microscopically smooth texture. So they are specialized to be able to climb to that degree, but not like geckos that can kind of have, or, in fact, I was talking to Simon Mantis Garden about mant Mantis Garden about what about mantises and whether they could crawl on glass or attach to glass and all that. Now, certain smaller isopods again can to a degree, but most of it is because there's something on the container that allows them to actually grab onto it or use um, the water displacement, to use that to crawl onto. And lichens, so yeah, I don't know how well, again, I don't have a macro lens on or anything, but that green stuff is all lichens. I don't know how well it's showing up, but I want to look into, again, because this is something that fascinates me. Like, just when I got into all of this, what is dirt? What is soil? And looking into how, again, detritivores, isopods specifically, play their part in making things into soil. I'm curious myself now. What is a lichen? I don't know the scientific ins and outs of it. I want to look more into that. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I do want to show you. And this is where I say I don't know. I don't know if these are two different types of lichens or the same lichen, because I thought lichens were, for all intents and purposes, two organisms that are symbiotic. So I don't know if that's just different layers of the same lichen or if that's lichen and moss. I don't, I say, once I start looking into things, I'm the kind of person who looks at it like I'm realizing how much I don't know. And I'm never happy with how much I know or learn, because then it makes me think about how much, again, stuff like this, I don't know. I'm going to put a little more leaf litter in there. This is some wild stuff that I grabbed. out on my walks. I'll put it kind of going. Yeah, let's set, in fact, I could set that up going there. Not the best. Let's see, do that. Now again, because I'm in my mood of setting it up where I can view it, I don't mind a little bit of this, but like this kind of stuff, if I was setting this up for breeding, I would do substrate, leaves, maybe a couple, again, layer that, maybe layer, substrate, leaves, moss, but my point is this is not important because if all I care about is how these guys are breeding and reproducing and propagating, I don't need to see them. I don't care. This stuff can be nice to set up different layers, but again, that's nothing that's necessary to make your guys thrive. I keep saying that in my videos. What's optimal to allow them to thrive, and thriving is a spectrum. So I want to make sure I'm trying to balance that out right now. Let me see. I'll put a little more. I don't know if I'm going to do sphagnum. Yeah, I'll do a little. Yeah, let's do that really quick, actually. Let's grab a handful of terrarium. Now, Ninja Kitty. So the way you generally set this up is you hear different terms: moisture side, wet side, hydration stations. But what you will generally do is have an area that is heavy in moss. And obviously I'm going to saturate that moss. Some people put it, and I may experiment with this. In most of mine, I'll have the hydration station set up, but I will put a topical layer of substrate over it. I personally think it does better keeping the moisture locked in there. The bad or negative side or con of that is I can't see what's going on in there. So that is an area where they will generally breed actively. The smaller mankai or babies will go there, and I may try it this time where I kind of don't put that coat on it, especially as I mentioned, if I'm going to be having this piece go over it, it may be enough to lock in that moisture to make me happy. So yeah, I'm going to do that. This is going to be more of the moist side. I'm going to show you just because again, I don't know if you always care, but I know you're interested when I say so. This is terrarium moss and this is sphagnum moss. You in the light it's not the best. The terrarium moss does have a slightly greener look to it than the sphagnum moss, but the sphagnum moss can turn green when it propagates itself. This is essentially dead and dried out and made for packaging. And if you handle it right, you can get it to. I want to do that. Yeah, some of that in there. Yeah, don't do sphagnum moss, kids. I tend to sprinkle a little bit more charcoal in whatever is going to be the main area of the hydration station, which is going to be this corner, or this area, I should say, mainly this corner starting here. But that is because springtails, which are not an isopod, they're a bug for all intents and purposes, that you keep in here to help manage mold and all of that. They it's it helps them breathe. It's one of the things it benefits them, and it's a good medium for them to propagate themselves, and that helps keep the bin fresh, free of mold and all of that. So what I'll usually do is as you see, put thin layers of moss, put a layer of substrate down, some leaves. So let's grab, yeah. If I want to throw a leaf or two in there. And that may be only about as deep as I want to make it, for the most part, as I'm looking at it at least. So before I do too much, I want to grab another piece of wood. I also do put, I don't know if these are lava rocks or aquarium rocks and or both, but I do tend to put them in the moist side. They keep and retain moisture. And I will sometimes see some isopods kind of on there. And I will also see moss that propagates, use the texture of the rock almost to crawl up. So that's kind of neat. And again, I don't know if you're there, Ninja, but again, talking about the lichen. So again, now there's that almost toxic mustard yellow looking one in addition to the green, and then that kind of off drab green. In fact, is there some of it on this piece, I think? Yeah, so here you kind of almost have all three. Anyway. I am going to start putting some of this. Ooh, let's put it there. That would be interesting. Yeah. Let's do it on this side. I do spray down the wood that I'm putting in generally. And then I always like to take and rub a little substrate on it. Sorry about that little bump. There we go. I'll do a little more moss up in here. I'm going to go that way. Yeah. Ooh, but what? Yeah, well, I'll be right back. Where are you? I gotta show you what I'm getting. Let me close that up. I'm going to be putting a little bit of this under there. If they don't eat it, which they almost assuredly will, it can repropagate and keep growing. Didn't I have another piece of, I guess we'll do this. What I'm trying to do is kind of protect this, not have anything in terms of substrate crushing it down, to give it room to grow up through there. Again, assuming the isopods don't just crush and destroy it, which they very well might. So then I'm going to I don't know about Pod Master, but you'll know a little something something about the excessive measures that I go in order to create enclosures for isopods. Ooh, I think I have. Do I have any magnolia leaves left? Yes! I love magnolia leaves because they're generally larger, but they're also very thick. Meaning the isopods sometimes don't touch them, but they eat them very slowly. And so I like to, as I said, I want to kind of create that little chamber there. So I'm going to kind of put that over there as a barrier. I don't want to go too much because I still have to put that wood over there. So this is, I want to use as a base to be able to put this down like that. I think like that would be best. Not too high. So I got to put a little bit more substrate and leaves down on that dry side. And I'm going to, while I have this out, spray it down. Hose it down. I'll put you over here for now. All right. Now we're cooking with fire. All right. So I'm going to throw some more leafage down. Let's do that. What is that? Leaves are important because it is one of the fundamental elements or pieces of isopod diet. But one thing about that, hey Simon, what's going on? Are you back from your walk? I hope you made it. Well, I mean, you made it on the walk. Obviously, you made it back. I'm just blabbering away to Ninja and mostly myself. But leaves are their primary food source. But additionally, a lot of the people you get substrate from who are in the hobby, um, the substrate they make also has a lot of all of that out. Oh, well, awesome. Good for you. Not that you didn't get out, but that it was a good, valid reason and something positive. As someone who has autism, I appreciate that. Um, but the substrate can have, you can see chunks of wood and all that. And a lot of this is basically, it goes back to what I was talking about way earlier. What is soil? What makes up dirt? What is substrate and all of that? So, um, a lot of that can be remedied with very good substrate. And then you have supplemental feeding, like all the powders and all the other. Ooh, I want to do that too, real quick. Eggshells. I have my own opinion about autism, but I don't want to talk about that right now. I want to stay focused. Oh, I'm obviously focused on this. Was it the spider guy? I was in his stream the other day, but the girls were here, and I think I made it like 5 minutes into the stream and had to go run off to get food or stop a fight or something. The eggshells look kind of like confetti. I've been talking, Simon, about the fact that this is my first time, and I'm even struggling with it as I do this, setting this up more optimally for breeding and not for how I normally set them up with the intent of viewing them and setting it up through that. So um, I'm kind of not struggling with it, but it's just so different from the way I set it up normally, which is fun. I say it's awesome. Just it's different. And I'm challenging myself with it. I want to find. Man, oh man, yeah, let's do it. Throw this in here. This, if I didn't say, by the way, Simon, is for my. And in fact, now that we're talking about it, are soil Cubaris? I read somewhere about them being Nesodillo now, or unclassified, or not sure. And I don't. I'm always curious because I don't pay much attention to that stuff because regardless of whatever these guys are called, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? It's not like I'm gonna not like them or value them any less, but yeah, I know they were Cubaris, but then I saw something somewhere, and I think I saw there was some similar thing with the with these guys being Nesodillos, but also Nesodillo being Archangel. I don't know, man. Again, it's funny because I don't care about this stuff until I get them, and then I have to look for care, and then in looking for the care, I see all this other stuff going on with them that again I don't particularly care about, but it's there. I didn't want to do that. I'm going to regret putting that moss in there because I really want to propagate that piece, but it's okay. A little bit of substrate. The mantis game. All right. I'm going to, should I do? Oh, this is going to be an awesome leaf, and I'll show you why in a second. So I love when you see a leaf like this with that natural fold or curl. Because what I end up doing is, as you can see, I kind of spray it down a little bit. And I just like to take substrate and without kind of disturbing it too much, pack it in there. And I'm going to use this as a kind of cover for the moss to try to keep some of it off because I'm about to be putting What do you think, Simon? Is this good enough for my Cubaris soil? I actually want to put a little more there. I have calcium. I put a little bit in my substrate bin, and then you didn't may not have seen. I did put eggshells, and then I do sprinkle like layer by layer the calcium sand, calci sand, whatever you want to call it. So I think I have that covered. And I do also, in fact, topically, I put Cuttlebone, which I'm glad you said that because I have to grab it. I always like that when it's like a little snow. So I can just kind of lift that. Lift those leaves. I got one there. I may put a small piece of wood. Should I put a smaller piece of wood, flat wood here, and cover more all the way, or leave this area open, do you think? I want to actually... I have to look. You're talking about the cuttlebone, I assume. I haven't done that. I astound myself sometimes with how little I actually know. We were talking about, in fact, Kitty and I, about lichens and the fact that I don't know how much I don't know, because once I started looking into lichens, I'm like, I thought lichens were a symbiotic organism, so to speak, not necessarily one, but I want to look back into that. Let me see. And so there's that olive drab looking lichen, the greener one around it, and then I'm finding like that almost mustard looking green, yellowish one. It's just, it's fun, fun, fun. I want to find, and all I want to do is find out what's what in the end. Now, so you thought I should leave that open. Oh, my guys do too. Like I mentioned again, I want you to kind of, when I'm done, I'm gonna take an actual picture, but this is going to be barren and brown. Maybe not very soon, as this is, I want to say, only a 10 or 12 count. So it's not like they're going to attack it right off the bat, but they will. In my spinny cornies, it doesn't last long, not even remotely. I'm going to add more leaves in a little bit, because I'm actually going to I'm going to put them in here. Now I'm going to just shut up and let you guys kind of watch them go wherever they go. And then I'll drop more leaf litter up on the top here, but I'll do that, as I said, after. I'll give this. I'll put that there in case that's where they want to hang out. Anything else you could think of, Simon? I'm in doing this live. I'm very, very worried, especially with it being the soils, that I'm overlooking or forgetting something. I generally don't do this with the distraction of the live stream and reading comments and all that. Oops. Oh, thank you. Yeah. I actually want to do that first. I hate this, man. That will do, because I can now. I'm sorry about all that if that was all looking like a crackhead. I promise you I am not on crack. I'm going to grab my springtails and then throw those in. And if you could think of anything else in the interim, I'll be back. I'm not going anywhere, but I have eyes off of my screen for a moment or two. have to spray this down while I'm in here. And I'm going to get myself a... No, I'll do that after, actually. How do I want to do this? Part of me... I don't know how many there are, and I want to count them. So bear with me for a moment, if you don't mind. I have to set a few things up. Remove a few things. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get these guys out. And I'm almost done. in the future, I'll be more on point with getting this on camera, and I apologize. I just don't want to spend too much time doing that. I'd be moving the camera around, dropping it more than I would be doing anything. And again, I apologize for that. So just, focus on the soothing sound of my voice. I'm sure there may be even some springtails moving around. Did you end up rescheduling that walk, hike, I guess we'll call it, since technically it's a hike, Simon, or was it kind of just on an indefinite pause for the moment? Indefinite hiatus. Well, I hope I catch you in that. I think I mentioned the weather's supposed to be a lot nicer than it is today. And I am planning on going for a walk at least. I may do a stream, or maybe I'll do a little bit of both. But as I meant, in fact, no, I didn't. I don't know if you go and watch the stream from the beginning. I assume not. But and if you do it, it won't matter then. But it's my still my 2 weeks with the daughters, but it's spring break and they're with my ex. I think I may have mentioned that to you in DM, but so they're with my ex right now, and I'm basically by myself for the next 3 days till Wednesday basically, and I'm gonna find stuff to do. Where are my? All right. These are the soils. I'm going to try to pick this stuff out to get a good count of roughly how many I have. So bear with me for another moment. So I thought this is rad already. I just saw this, and now this makes me realize I need to slow down because what's it going to take to get you to focus there? See that little guy hanging out? So I want to make sure I go through all that substrate again because I don't want to miss any of that. So we have 1, 2. So far. I'll be right back. Get some of this stuff out of here. So I want to make sure I put this whole piece of moss in there because it came with it. I don't know what stowaways maybe on there, but it looks like just the one big boy on there. And give a once over from the side. Sorry if that's not clear or anything, but I'm just looking more for myself. Yep, so that's a third one. Oh, I'll tumble for you. All right, bear with me again. I'm sorry if I'm breathing right into the mic also. So I'm going to try and do a count here. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 ish at the very least that I'm aware of. So I don't know if you guys noticed. I'm going to go in a moment, get a drink of water. Well, I'm going to wash my hands, get a drink of water, shut up and let you watch. It looks like these guys are mate guarding. So I don't know if that, no, again, hopefully they were doing their business. Enjoy. Well, what's funny is I've been standing there this whole. I still haven't gone to wash my hands. I'm just watching them. But I think Ninja's here. I think it's you and I and him. I know Rhode Island. Like, kind of, it's funny the way it's working out. But he's actually going out for a walk himself. I'm actually gonna put the rest of the substrate. They came in back in here in a minute or two. I just wanted to at least try to get a good count, but again, I'm going to go wash my hands eventually. All right, I'm really stepping away from my TV timeout. I'm going to wash my hands, get a drink of water, and I'm also going to eat a piece of chocolate, which is why I want to wash my hands. I don't want to cross the streams, dirt chocolate. But I'll be back in a minute. Actually, here I'm going to wash my hands. I'm going to take one more moment. You can hear me. Actually, I think I'm going to sneeze and blow my nose, so I'm going to walk away to the other room. But I know I'm going to blow my nose. And with that, Ninja Kitty, if there's any questions you have let us know. I'll knock that lid over. But about why why things are set up in a certain way, why they're not, how come this or why that. I got a dad joke for you. You ready? What did the fish say when it hit a wall? And I'm not answering until someone says why in the chat. Oh, podcaster. I like that. I like that. I kind of feel dumb having missed it. He said, damn. Get it? Okay, I got a cleaner joke for you. This is a cleaner one. You ready for this? What did the janitor say when he jumped out of the closet? Supplies! Get it, a cleaner joke? Supplies? Janitor? Oh man, I crack myself up sometimes. I know what you guys are thinking. I should start a Patreon just for those jokes, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not here to monetize my humor, as they say it over across the pond in Canada. A woman that sets fires to her bills? I don't know. And don't get my stream taken off for crude humor. Nice. Bernadette. All right, I think I'm going to put this away. I'm just debating, actually, really quickly. I don't care as long as YouTube doesn't. I want to do it. Oh, come on. That one is as old as Simon. I'm going to be finishing the rest of the ventilation after the stream because, like I said, I'm going to set up the soldering iron and stuff like that. So these are the allegedly Cubaris soils. But I'm debating. No, not right now. I'll just put that aside. And as you were actually mentioning Ninja, oh, actually, I have a joke for you. I've never in my life heard it pronounced with an L. Not once. I'm not doubting you. I've never heard it. I said I speak American, not English. In my defense, I don't claim to speak English. I claim to speak American. I have to cough. I'm gonna back away for a quick second. Excuse me. And I listened to some Englishish people, but I don't think I've ever heard them talk about soldering. Um, so yeah. So you guys ready for this one? What do you say when the dishwasher breaks? Oh, solder, so like soldering, but soldering. Kick her out and get a new one. But as we were talking about earlier, Ninja, if you guys don't mind and have no issues, I'm going to. Oh, that reminds me of another one. Like, why? How did it go? My brother told me it. Um, why are the stove and the what is the stove, the dishwasher, and the fridge? Why are they all white? Because it matches the wedding dress. Now, crude humor aside, I'm going to set up that other bin, but like you were mentioning, I'm going to get the drill and set that up. So humor me for a moment with a little bit more time. That was my Polish version. Grab you and you. Ta-da! Where did I put them? There we go. And this thing is actually, I had this since before my divorce. Now that I think about it, this thing has been with me for a while. It's been with me since my other life, as I say. So I'm gonna do, again, I tend to always just start with the sticker side being the humid, moist, wet side, just as a visual reference. I'm gonna try to keep it in frame. I apologize if it's kind of knottish. Let me see. How do I want to do that? Oh man, if it was April Fool's, I would have did that and be like, "Oh, my finger." What do you think? It's too much? This is going to be The Shiros. Get those burrs out. Let me know your thoughts, Simon. I say I'm new at this. But that and Nesodillo, I believe it is. But again, I've heard that's another one that's always being reclassed in the moment. I need to put you away. You can hang out there. It just had, oh, there it is. I just had a lid. Ugh. In terms of things escaping or getting in? Because I generally put, I want to make sure. So you'll, like, that's, I find I get those anyway. Like, I do the holes on the side. Then I do, in fact, I'll show you pretty much. Oh, where did I put that now? Yeah, this is not the best example, but for a larger one, I tend to have a large, I guess I could show the back. A large hole like that on the dry side. Then I have medium holes that I cover over. And then I just have these smaller ones. So, in terms of fungus gnats, I'm not worried in that. I only seem to get them when I import them. I've got them in, I want to say 3 isopod shipments, and every time I've bought a plant from a store. So, but I don't tend to have them in my bins. So I'm not super worried about it. It's more so now that I have that bug catcher, with the fact that I'm actually kind of more aware of how to keep fungus gnats down originally. But what I generally do is, I would have, again, I would drill about 2 here, again, because this is the moist side, about 3 here, about 3 here, and then from there transition to the larger holes. And but again, I generally try, and let me know if you think that's too much, in that these ones, from what I've gathered, and in addition to the reason that she kind of sent them to me, is these guys care is more on par with the drier Armadillidium and Porcellio species. And in that regard, I like to keep it, as mentioned, with my whole, I was scarred by fungus gnats and fruit flies at first, so I just wanted to make sure I avoided them. But that's where she recommended these, is that their care is a little bit more on the dry side to avoid fungus gnats. So that's why I keep mine more aerated, but I also kind of, I think I've mentioned to you, I'm into my isopod bins 3 or 4 times a week, and I always at least give a spray or some drips. But I don't want to mess up the care with these guys. So let me know about your thoughts before I start drilling. And again, I would go like little, medium, and then I generally do one larger aerated hole and put that fabric over it that allows it to breathe, but generally keeps out the gnats and springtails and isopods also. I'm going to take a minute. Hopefully you're listening and I'm not talking to myself and just waiting, because then I'll start drilling. But let me know for a moment. I'm going to set that up. Get a piece of wood or two. I don't want to do that, you guys. Yeah, let's. Yeah. Just found that piece I'm going to put in there. That's a good piece of Sorry, I'm trying to find a good flat piece to use across, and every piece I'm finding is slightly off. Like I'm gonna have to break this in half, and I'm hopefully trying to avoid breaking any of them. That I don't mind. I just, if I don't have to, but it looks like I may. Or, let me see. So that comes off, and that. Nope. That may be a little better. Almost perfect. So, oops. I'll do, yeah, two. Ninja, are you still there? And if so, I haven't been. When I have my kids, I'm very unplugged from the news. Last I heard was Teflon Don maybe turning himself in Tuesday, which is incredible. And I'll do two more. No, let's do one. Yeah, last I read, he was starting to not get involved, which I always say, especially in regards to the government. Sometimes all I want the government to do, and I wish that if they did this, I would support them every time. Do absolutely nothing. Sometimes doing nothing is exactly what the government should do. If there's financial panic, do nothing. If people want to bomb a country, do nothing. If people want to make it illegal to do something, don't do it. Just don't. Correct on the Trump thing, yeah. Teflon down. I'm going to do that part here. That will be that main part. I'll do that again separately. I'm going to do the soldering iron for that. And I want to get my windows open and fans going. I'm sorry, soldering iron. Sorry, I caught myself. But yeah, I got to do that. Yeah, I don't even know if I'm a libertarian. I just know I'm not a conservative and I'm not a liberal, but I don't think that defaults me to libertarian. But I do have a lot of their views. But that is a big problem in the U.S. is that everything is viewed as you're either a conservative or a Democrat or a Republican or Democrat, whatever. Do you ever watch I think I actually sent one of these videos to Simon, but do you ever watch Reason TV? Ninja Kitty, by the way. Yeah, the GOT one was that one, yeah. And I'm telling you, I think it was Star Trek. They have a Star Trek and Star Wars version. They're both hilarious. I don't know which I prefer, to be honest. That whole channel is very spot on. They have a short skit about the fact that I don't know if it's federal or in some states. No, well, sadly, it's not a comedy. Well, what it is a libertarian channel, which is interesting, and a lot of people don't know that. But it so, and that's all it is. It covers news from libertarian views, has libertarian people, challenges concepts from a libertarian view, but then it's got the humoristic side like that of it, where they kind of lampoon what's going on politically, and they even laugh at themselves, like making fun of Gary Johnson, and that whole thing that happened with that. And then Simon, really quick, and you were just because we were talking, I'm gonna try and zoom this in without blasting it. Yep, I can't. Um, come on. Why don't? Oh, I totally forgot what we were talking about. Oh yeah, I'm gonna be putting in calcium sand. Is my point. I'm getting irritated at this stupid camera when it's in YouTube mode. see. Where did I put that? How did I want that? It really does remind me of American politics because just like American politics, I don't like Star Wars or Star Trek and care about either or think that either matters. And similarly, I don't care generally about what a Republican thinks or what a Democrat thinks just because they're a Democrat or a Republican. What I think is funny is, and I don't know the exact percentages, so it may be off, but the way I generally say it is in America, we have 20% of Americans, and I can't even say Americans, so let's back up. 20% of American voters identify as Democrat. 20% of American voters identify as Republican, so that's 40%, 20 and 20, that demand that the other 60% that don't care and the other 20% cater to their 20%. And that just blows my mind. Yeah, I'm going to do something like that. All right. And I actually forgot as I pointed out that I was going to do it, I forgot to do the calcium sand at this layer. And I wanted to get I want to grab a natural. Oh no, let me do some spag first. So far, all that has been terrarium moss. This is now some sphagnum moss I'm going to be putting in. Now I'm going to put some actual the moss I gathered again. Hmm. Yeah, that's better. Is there anybody out there? You guys ready to throw some Shiros in there? It's been quiet. I don't know if anyone's even out there. I'm gonna get these guys ready. Excuse me. Actually, Oh, that's hilarious. Trying to get you to climb off, and both of you climb back on. Hop off, my guy. There you go. Boom. Uh-oh. I lost one. And normally I don't always do it like this. It's kind of long and tedious, but I want to try to get a count, especially of these guys. These and the soil are more, I guess, expensive or lucrative in the hobby, whatever, however you want to look at it. And while that's not any of the reason I care, I'm just kind of curious on how that works, or how this worked out, I should say. Oh, you guys are almost there. And you hopped off now. Yeah, I think, Simon, what you'll see when I get to the, what is that? My Armadillidiums. I don't not care about the count so much. I just, from what I understand, these guys are um something I want to be more mindful of and all that. I'm very happy that so far only one seemed to have not made it. Which is this one right here. I have never once missed one Mankai ever, Simon, as long as I've lived. But now let's see. I'm going to try to get a count, but these guys are a lot more active than those soils. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 about. So about 15 to 17 of these guys, not including the one that didn't make it. And like I said, Simon, I'm going to be putting the substrate in here. I always try to get a count of these kind. So let's set this up, and I'm going to drop them off. In fact, I'm going to kind of sprinkle this substrate back in when I'm done. Say bye-bye, Shiros. We got one. We got one, guys. He's making a break for it. And I just want to say, I don't care about the money value, all that, but these guys are, I am just so impressed with their color. I've never seen, I think they're called pied, is the just pattern in general. But these guys are fabulous. I say it's the translucent skirting, the semi-translucent look to them, the black, and then just that caramel color that you when you see it up close is so different and just so fascinating. Put a little bit. You, ladies and gentlemen, are incredible looking. I'm going to give you some leaf litter on top after you guys go about your business. I don't know if you can see, this guy's actually already snacking on the lichens. That's awesome. And I want to turn this upside down. Oops, sorry, I just hit the camera. The lifespans differ. If I had a rule of thumb, I would just say generally it's between 2 and like 5 years, but it does differ. There's some reports that armadillo, not armadillidium, Armadillo aficionatus can live up to 9 years, but even that's kind of disputed as it was made early into when this started becoming a hobby. And from what I've heard, not anyone has kind of had that success since. So I don't know, but that's just kind of a rule of thumb. I'm gonna walk away for a minute and get another. I think I'm gonna. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Grab a chip, some water. I'm debating if I'm gonna do these other two bins now, do them tomorrow on a separate stream, or just do them myself. Let me know what you guys want, or if you care, or have a preference one way or the other. I guess I'm gonna walk away for a moment. I want to check my phone. I forgot to plug in, but now it is. It's at 24%, but it's charging now. So I'll see if it's going up or down. I'll be right back and I'll read the comments when I get back. Man, these are some awesomely active isopods. I am impressed by that. He's falling and he can't get up. I don't know if you can see this guy over here. He's turned and keeps pulling stuff in instead of. Oh, there he goes. He's got it. There we go. Oh, wait. Yep. There we go. That was really hilarious. The funny little things with isopods. Oh, nice. There's that little mankai. Can you guys see him? Dumping along. Yeah, good luck. I hope you do. I just I kind of laugh because I don't know if I want more people here and it will be harder for me to concentrate and actually focus on what I'm doing, or if I prefer one or two people. But that little guy is cruising. I have no idea what any of that or all of that entails, and I just think it'd be rad because it's again something I'd never really have exposure to or access to anywhere else. He's still going over here. This little guy. These guys are just already one of my my favorite, and I just laugh because it's something similar with the Gestroy in that Gestroy are my favorite because of everything about them. So I don't know much about these guys so far, but it's that they're active, they're visually appealing, they're large enough to see, and interesting. Like I say, the soil, while there's nothing against them, and I have no, nothing wrong with them, I just they're not. Same thing with like with the canyon giants, Porcelio dilatatus. They're just not my favorite because you don't see them much. They just do their thing, and it's nothing against them. But man, these guys are just phenomenal. One thing I'm noticing a massive difference between when I moved these guys and when I moved the soil. If you noticed, I don't think you were here for that, Simon, but almost all of the soil as I was moving them were conglobating or conglobated or moving in and out of some combination of that. Whereas these guys, as you could kind of see, didn't seem to do that even remotely at all. Not when I was moving them. They kind of did a couple defensive small curls, but not even many of those. Whereas again, the soil, we're doing it almost reflexively or not naturally, like not even when being disturbed. Man, that little guy's still going. Can you see him over there? What did I miss now? Sorry. Who had what talk? Was I there? Did I miss it? So with the battery not charging, I think I'm going to wrap it up soon. And I got to figure out how I'm going to do those other two enclosures. Give it a sniff. I think I want that to be one of my phrases or sayings. Just give it a sniff. Man, these guys are freaking awesome. Well, Simon, Ninja, and if there's anyone else out there, I'm going to be wrapping it up. Thank you for hanging out. If you have any last pieces of information or wisdom to part upon me, let me know. Yeah, I'm putting that on now. I was kind of leaving that. Ooh, that's a good leaf too. So we could kind of watch them go about their way. Thank you guys for both hanging out. Ninja, I hope you learned a little something. I'm trying to make sure I'm dropping a little bit of educational stuff, at least in the beginning where I can recall them. In fact, I think on one of my next videos or live streams, I got a little, not a super duper surprise plan, but just a little nice little tool to introduce some more isopod material and information. So, yeah, you're basically a doctor now because of me, so you're welcome for that. It's like I tell people I went to boot camp, so I'm, yeah, pretty much like a doctor. It's like the same thing. I'm gonna walk away, get a sip of. I don't even need to have my bottle here. Take a quick last sip, and then be on my way. Okay, unless you guys have anything else to say, thank you so much. And no, I'll talk about it later.